Hello, and welcome back to another episode for Project Seed Money. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited to be joined today by author Anita Placido. Thank you so much for being with us today and for just sharing space with us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I want to just get right into it and ask, have you always wanted to be a writer?
I don't know that I thought of it like a profession, but I've always written little tiny put together stapled books when I was 7 or 8, about my friends or whatever. I've always kept a journal since I've been older, all my adult life, and just writing down random thoughts and things that inspire me or mean something meaningful to me.
So then what was the shift from journaling and writing short stories to becoming a published author?
Well, it's a little interesting. I suffered some childhood trauma and went through some therapy working on that. And during that time, God gave me dreams to let the emotions be worked out in the dreams because they were too hard and too toxic to work out consciously. And as the dreams worked out the emotions, my depression lifted. So my therapist said, "You should write a book." And I said, "I don't think so. I don't want my dirty laundry out there for everybody to read." And then God started saying, "You need to write this book." And I kept telling him no. And eventually he said, "It's not about you. It's about those who I will help through this book." So I wrote the book. It took about 6 years, lots of putting it down for a while because it was kind of like reliving it. So I kind of had to take space from it for a while sometimes. And it involves some things with my mom, and I didn't want it to come out while she was alive just because I know it would probably, she would be aghast, but that I would publish personal things. But she passed away in 2017. And so after that, I began really working at getting it published and out there to help others who have been, abused, and to let them know they're not the only one. They're not alone. And they don't have to stay stuck in the pain of the past, that they can move forward.
While you were doing that writing journey, when you actually had decided, like, okay, now it's time, I'm going to write my story, and during that 6 year period, did you face self-doubt about what was going to come out or about that journey?
I did. There was a lot of kind of fussing back and forth about what should be put in the book and what didn't need to be in the book. A lot of editing through that. There's a chapter called Sexual Predators where the dreams are, about being prey essentially, always feeling like, is it going to happen kind of thing. And that's hard to read. I know it is. And for some people, I'm sorry if they get offended by it because it is it's not graphic in the nature of that, but it is difficult to read. And I really struggle with whether to even put that chapter in, but I really felt like for someone who'd been there, they would understand. And it would be coming from someone who understood them. And so for some people that don't have any, concept of what that would be like, they may be slightly offended by the language and whatever, but I tried to tone it down as much as possible and yet still make it is part of my story and it belongs in there.
So then you mentioned that your mother's passing was sort of this, like, okay to then go ahead and share the story. And you also mentioned that God put this story on your heart to share. But I wonder what ultimately gave you the courage to go ahead and publish because it is out there now and you have walked through this fire and you did do those things to go ahead and edit and put the story out there. That takes real bravery. And I wonder what gave you that courage?
I think because I know how I felt with it. And I know there are so many others out there, especially around my age, over 50, you know, when we were younger and abused, those weren't things you talked about and you didn't tell anybody and it just wasn't ever discussed. It's all kept quiet. Whereas now people are wanting healing from that. They're tired of keeping the secrets, you know. And I just felt like maybe my story would help somebody else, you know, be able to come out of that place of pain and stuck in their past and live their life in freedom.
That's so brave and so beautiful, Anita. And truly, when you put yourself out there like that, I do think that you help other people to be seen, and I do think that you help other people to be validated. But it still does take courage and vulnerability on your part, and I think that that's just really, really beautiful. I wonder
Thank
after,
you.
yes, yes, yes. I wonder after you published your book, did you face any vulnerability at that point now that your story was available for other people to be reading?
I think my not vulnerability in the sense of, oh, what have I done? Now I can't take it back. But I think a little bit of vulnerability in the sense of, you know, now people probably know more about me than they may wish to know. But I think my driving force was just to get it out there. And the more people that could see it, the better. And I've had tremendous conversations with people, like when I'd be at book signings and things like that, where I didn't have time at the book signing to really speak with them, but we've connected afterwards and had really meaningful conversations about their story. And just to be able to sit and listen and let them tell their story has really been impactful for me.
Yeah, I could see how that would work both ways. And by you showing up and saying, "This is my story," it does make people, it seems that it made people feel safe enough to share their story with you. And maybe by getting that out there, they're healing themselves. So you kind of created a healing environment with your book.
Yes, yes. I think a big part of it is letting them know that healing is possible, you know, that they're not stuck where they are. And a lot of what abused people feel is the shame and the guilt, and letting them know it's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. And to encourage them with that idea that you are uh, can I show you the front of the book because I
Yes,
think it'll
please.
explain it.
Yes, please.
It has idea balloons at the top and it says, I am loved by God. I am of worth. I am not damaged goods. And I chose those specifically to give people that message that you did nothing wrong and you have nothing to be ashamed of. And you are of great worth and you're not damaged goods. You can be whole and live a wonderful life free from being tied to your past.
That's so encouraging. Thank you for writing your story and for sharing it. And I love the cover because no matter what, when someone picks it up, they are getting that encouraging message right from the very beginning. I think that that is beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit about your publishing journey? What publishing route did you choose? And then how did you do that?
I took a Guidepost as a major publisher, but they have a Christian publishing, self-publishing arm. And so I went with them, and they pretty much, I had a friend who is a professional editor. So she edited it for me once I'd gone through all my revisions and edits and everything. She did the whole thing for me and formatted it and everything. And then I sent that to them, and from that, I had designed the cover myself, and a friend of mine just drew the bed part because I'm not a really great artist, but I knew what I wanted it to be, and so she drew the little girl in the bed dreaming these dreams of worth and love. And so I sent that to them, and they created the cover off of that. And but at the time my book came out, COVID hit. And so I could do nothing with it as far as like personal appearances, or, you just had to kind of find it on Amazon. So this May, I republished it. I got all my files back from them, and I republished it, self published it with Amazon, the KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, that's part of Amazon, and published it myself. So it kind of came out as it's not a second edition, it's the same book, but it's just a republish. And then in August, I published my second book, it's a devotional book with just 32 individual devotions, kind of drawing people into the idea of being in God's presence and sitting and being quiet and listening to God, not doing all the talking, and just listening for his voice, and how you have to cultivate that and practice it. It doesn't just happen, but the more you practice, the more easily you can hear his guiding voice.
That's really beautiful. And it does sound almost like a companion to your first book, where you're experiencing that in the dreams, and God is helping bring that healing. And then it does sound like you're kind of bringing that to other people as well with your devotional.
Yes, I think the devotional shows the growth and healing from the first book, that now I'm able to write more positive things.
That is so
Not
beautiful.
that that's not positive, but it's deep and hard, and these are a much lighter read. But
That's beautiful.
so that came out in August. So
And did you then self-publish that as well?
that one, I tried another indie publisher, and it actually went really well.
That's very
One
encouraging.
of the drawbacks that I saw of, I've heard it called self-publishing assist company, where you do the writing and everything, and then they just help you get it published. They'll do an edit if you need that. They'll do the cover design and marketing and whatever else you need. But I had gone to the Women in Publishing seminar back in early spring, and that was a godsend. I mean, if anybody has the chance to go to that Women in Publishing convention, or what, a conference, I guess, they had editors, marketing people, publishers, cover design people. I mean, just everybody in the industry was giving seminars in this, and you could have chat time with them. It would be invaluable to new writers. You learn so much.
I couldn't agree more. And
But
it's such a welcoming environment. They're so kind. They're so happy to answer questions. It really is.
yeah, so encouraging. And so I would definitely recommend that to newer writers looking to be published. It just kind of depends on how you feel with the publisher. If you feel a connection, like you can work together or not. I did a lot of researching of the company before I, signed on with them, just to make sure that I owned all my content. I got all my content back once they put it up to publish. And they they were much more generous with the cost of the books, as far as if I want to buy my own books to do a book signing. They were a lot more reasonable. The first one was, I made like $2 a book or something by the time I paid them for the book and then the shipping and then got, sold the book. So you have to do your homework and find out what they're going to charge you and what you get for your money. I learned so much from the marketing people at the Women in Publishing that I chose not to do marketing with the publisher. So that saved a lot of money also. And I just worked with some people that I actually met at the conference and worked with them on redoing the cover design so that it didn't have the former publisher on it. And, was able to work with some of the people I met. And they were all so lovely and so helpful. And, it just, you just need to do your research. And for some people, going the KDP, Amazon may work, where they just give it to them, they upload it, they print it, and you tell them, I want 10 copies, and they send you 10 copies. It's up to the different person, but I'd just say do your research. Traditional publishers, I learned, is the hard way to go. You have to find a literary agent, and then they have to like your book, and then they have to try and sell it to a publisher. And reality is they don't pick a whole lot of new writer stuff in the big houses, publishing houses. So the kind of indie self-help assist companies are a lot better avenue, or just doing it yourself. If you get enough help from like the Women in Publishing to where you have people you can ask questions of and get help, then I think the KDP is probably a good avenue also. But you just have to have the time. That takes a lot more time because you're doing it yourself. And you're the one being the marketer and you're the one, doing this and that. So it's more time consuming. So if you don't have the time to put in it like a part-time job, then it's going to be kind of difficult.
Yeah, it seems like it's really either money or time. You're either going to pay someone or you're going to learn and you're going to do it, but it's going to take that time.
Right. Right. So
I'll
you
make
just
sure
kind of
to,
have to look at your situation and see which one fits best.
yes, I couldn't agree more. And I'll make sure to put the link for the Women in Publishing Summit in the description below, because you go to the conference, but you also get access to the Facebook group for the entire year. So then you can
Right.
ask questions. That's how I found you today to do this interview. I posted in that group and said, hey, who wants to come on the podcast? And there's so much there and so many people there, and they're willing to answer your questions. So if you are going to go the self-publishing route, I would definitely recommend getting in a group like this or getting in this group so that you can always have that feedback. It's so invaluable.
Yes, because I used one of the marketing people who had actually done a seminar and for the marketing, and she was invaluable in her, advice and help.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I do want to ask, where can my audience find you and your books?
Okay. My Facebook page is Placido Author Page. And my email is author Anita Placido at gmail.com.
And all of your books are on Amazon?
They're both on Amazon, both in paperback and ebook format.
That is amazing. And just one last question. I wonder if you have anything that you could say to inspire or encourage my audience who are female authors, maybe first time, maybe they're on the fence and they just need that little bit of encouragement to get to that publication.
Someone told me, and I found it invaluable, write every day. Even if you just write 2 sentences, or you write down an idea for a character or, a plot twist or something. Just write something every day.
That
And
is,
sometimes if you can get away a little bit and just like sometimes I would just feel I need to take a break. I'm feeling overwhelmed with all of this and it's not coming together like I want it to. Just go do something fun. Take a day or two off of it and then come back. And I think you'll find that your energy is renewed and you're ready to kind of tackle whatever it is that's in front of you.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today, Anita. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your
Thank
story,
you.
books. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.